I believe that George Cambosis is going to become world champion once again. And, a lot of people are going to say, "Oh, nah, he don't have no chance to become world champion again. He can't beat Devin Haney." I'm gonna say this: Cambosis gave Haney that shot. He kept his word. He works hard. He trains hard, and he got himself to a point in a position where he, excuse my yawn, uh, where he was able to win the undisputed, I'm not undisputed, the unified championship of the world. He missed one belt, which was the WBC belt, right? He had, we don't even care about the franchise belt, fuck that. He had the WBC title, which is the important thing. So, I'm telling you that he's not that far off from winning the title again. Now, they just need to be calculated in how they proceed. If he could still make weight at lightweight, so if he can still make weight at lightweight, I don't think that Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney, or Tank Davis, I don't think that any of those guys are going to be in the lightweight division by the end of next year. I think that those guys are going to move up. Haney's a big lightweight, and he's going to eventually move up to super lightweight. I think Haney's going to do maybe one defense, maybe two. He may not rematch Cambosis, as well as he may. But I do believe that Haney's got about 2 or 3 more fights at lightweight, and that's it. He's out of there. So I say by the end of 2023, Devin Haney's not going to be at lightweight anymore. He's going to move up to super lightweight. And I think that Tank's not going to be at lightweight. And I think that Ryan Garcia, he might still be at lightweight as well as he might not be at lightweight. But I think those 3 guys are going to be gone. Shakur Stevenson might be at lightweight. But I believe before Shakur Stevenson moves up and before those guys move out, there's going to be this little interim, this little space. And I have a feeling that would be the moment when Cambosis will get his shot again. And he can feel it. It's all about timing. That's where Cambosis can win again, become a lightweight world champion, especially when an undisputed champion moves up. Will Cambosis ever be undisputed champion? Who knows? It depends on, if he learns from this experience how to deal with a fighter like Devin Haney. It depends on how, because Shakur's coming, he's going to come up to lightweight pretty soon. So that division's going to be popping. But I do think that those guys are going to have to lead the division. And if Cambosis is a career lightweight, if he stays at lightweight for almost his entire career, he's definitely going to become world champion again. Definitely going to become it again. So I think within the next year, a lot of the guys who are at lightweight are going to move up. Shakur may move into lightweight position, in 2024. But somewhere between 2023 and 2024, there's going to be all these vacancies. And I believe Cambosis is going to get one of those belts. I really do. I think he's going to get his shot. And once he stays within reach, he's going to get one of those belts. He's not going to be undisputed, but he's going to have a number of those belts. And the only challenge in the immediate horizon for him, when the dust settles and those guys move up, would be Shakur Stevenson. But he's going to get his hands on one of those belts, you know. So I believe that Cambosis still has a chance, and he'll be what, 30 years old, so he'll still be in his prime. I think Cambosis, if you look at the long game, he'll still have a chance at the titles. He'll probably snag one of the titles, and he'll be champion again at lightweight. This is if he stays at lightweight. If he has to move up, if he has to move up to super lightweight, his chances are going to be slimmer because those guys are going to be at the higher weight class. And I'm not saying that he can't beat some of those guys, but he's going to have to. His learning curve is going to have to be steep. He's going to have to continue to learn a lot in boxing. I was listening to Bill Haney talk to Cambosis about when he came into the dressing room, having lost to Devin, and like a true champ, he came up and he was speaking to Dev, and he was speaking to Bill, and giving them their just due, congratulating them, and they were congratulating him and some of the people in his camp. But he noticed his father didn't show up to come and congratulate them. So they were speaking about his father, which I believe his father's going to come up to the camp and he's going to also congratulate them regardless. I think his father's going to do that. But I think that Cambosis is an awesome guy. He did what he had to do to promote the fight. He did what he had to do to try to get in Devin Haney's head. He did what he had to do to try to win the fight, and it was by any means necessary. Once it's legit, he was going to do that. And again, I don't take that personally because that's the art of war. That's what you got to do. You try to get in your opponent's head whichever way you can, and he did whatever he could to get that happening, to increase his chances in the fight. But Devin, just relaxed and he stayed composed. And it really didn't matter if Devin's father was there or not. That was kind of like the icing on the cake. I think Devin was going to go in there and execute anyway. He was saving up his energy. He didn't put anything on himself to promote the fight. That was all on Cambosis to promote the fight. And 44,000 fans came into the stadium to see Cambosis versus Haney. And Cambosis clearly swayed a lot of people into believing that he could win that fight. I always knew it was a mismatch. And again, no disrespect to Cambosis. I always knew that. I told you guys, I told everybody that the jab was going to be the key. I did a lot of videos on it, but I didn't want to beat it into people's head that Devin Haney was going to win this fight. I let it play out, and I was just speaking about the attributes of the fighters and what I appreciate about fighters. For me, I rock with you whether you win or you lose. So I'm a Cambosis fan, win, lose, or draw. But I think there's certain attributes in Cambosis, with or without his father in his corner, that's going to propel him further and further. And I hope this burns a fire under him to just get better, just to do things better, to be better. I will tell Cambosis that he had a certain degree of success and go with the areas in the fight where he had success. While I do not agree with him that the fight was close in any way, shape, or form, I do understand that he was kind of keeping up with Devin Haney, sort of. He was trying to get Devin Haney to come to him so he could counterpunch him. It didn't quite work out, and he was also trying to go after Devin. And when he tried to do that, it didn't work out either. Because just like I was hearing, I think it was Anthony, Coach Anthony was saying he's going to be a step behind Devin almost every step of the way, and that was true. That's exactly what panned out. And it's just because Devin Haney's on another level of knowledge and implementation of knowledge in the sweet science than he is. And no knock against George Cambosis. Like I said before, he's a ferocious warrior. Y'all wondering where was all his ferociousness? Why he wasn't as ferocious? Well, it's because he's also tactical while he's ferocious. So while he was, if Cambosis had sold out and tried to just go at Devin Haney He just sold out, like a lot of people trying to say he should have done, which is stupid. Okay, I'm gonna tell you straight up, that's stupid. When people say Mikey Garcia should have just sold out and go at Errol Spence Jr., that's stupid. You always try to keep your defense as tight as possible as you are trying to attack your opponent. And Cambosis, he did turn it up in the 10th, 11th, and 12th, but Devin Haney also turned it up, and he also kept his movement. So it's very difficult. You guys don't understand. It's very difficult to beat a master who can move and punch, and move and punch at the same time, and he's mixing it up. And if I was to go into the technicalities of it, you guys would realize how difficult it is. Because Devin Haney, different weight from the back foot to the front foot. Sometimes he would stay stable, which is a stable stance. That means his weight distribution is on both legs, and it's just a lot. It's just a lot that goes into what Devin Haney does. It's so nuanced and so very complicated for me to explain to you guys in simple terms. And I really try to distill boxing down to you guys in a simple way. I try to distill it down in a simple way. But let me show you from the side view. So when you have all your weight on the back foot, like I had right here, okay, I'm sitting down on the back foot. I might lean back like this. I inch in this way, okay. But my weight, now even if I have all my weight on my back foot, I can change up my rhythm by doing the following. I can step with my back foot and then inch in like this, okay. Or I can inch in and then step back with my back foot. Now, if I alternate that, it changes how I am in space. And then when I put this into there, this little rhythm right here, and you can't tell if I'm stepping with my back foot or if I am stepping with my front foot, inching in. Okay? I may mix it up. Now, why is that important? Because it's the element of deception. Okay? I'm going to show you from here, and you're going to not be able to tell the difference when I inch it on you. So I'll just move that chair out the way. So here I am, and I'm doing this. I'm doing this because you didn't notice that I just inched in with my back foot on you. Okay? I want you to see what it looked like. Now I'm going to inch in with my front foot. You're going to see this one. But by me masking it, see, I inched in with my front foot. By me masking that, I am able, with this funky little rhythm I'm doing here, see, do you know I'm inching in on you. Now I just inched in on you again, okay? So, you got to look at my footwork, because everything comes with the feet. So, if I'm inching in with you with my front foot, then I inch in with my back foot, okay? I'm getting closer to you, and at times you will not even notice. It'll look like I've inched in with my back foot, but I kept my front foot shorter. So it looked like I just stepped in place. But actually, my front foot, I will slide in afterwards, after I've inched in with my back foot, so I'm closer to you than I really am when I'm ready. And I know I'm closer to you, but you don't know that until I throw my punch. So, it's a lot, like I said, boxing is a very complex thing. Okay? Sometimes you see a fighter, and he's leaning in like this, right? He's leaning in on his opponent like this, okay? The reason why I'm leaning in with my head just about on the same line with my front foot is because I'm trying to mask my back foot, okay? You can't see this, but I'm going to try and show you my back foot here. So if I slide my back foot back here like this, and I'm leaning in, I'm actually further back from you, see, than I really seem to be. Okay, and this is to set up the counter. Okay, so I'm leaning in on you. I'm all here, and this is what it looked like. See, I'm leaning in here, but my back foot is all the way back here. This is where I really am in space. But I'm leaning in, and I look like I'm closer to you than I really am. So, all of that shit was going on, which is why Devin Haney, and then he's using footwork. He's coming off of angles, you know. He's popping the jab at different times. Again, it's not a regularly timed jab. It's a jab that's coming off of several feints, and then it's popped. And you want to talk about a good jab, Devin Haney has a great jab. All right, like I said before, in the lightweight division, the guy with the best jab in the lightweight division, and probably in all of boxing, is Devin Haney. Because he doesn't just throw the jab, he's using a lot of feints. He's throwing different kinds of jabs. He's using different kinds of jabs for different purposes. He knows exactly why he's throwing his jab. You know, Devin Haney ain't no run-of-the-mill kind of fighter. So it's very difficult to deal with a fighter like that. Okay? You know, he changes the speed, he changes the rhythm, he changes the timing of the jab. You know, all of these things. It's very difficult to deal with. And Cambosis was befuddled. Devin Haney had him bemused. Cambosis didn't know how to launch his attack at a certain point. You know, and Devin Haney was just picking him off and just turning him, picking him off. Sometimes he was standing directly in front of him, and Cambosis was just standing watching him. You know, and that was because Devin Haney had just completely befuddled Cambosis. Cambosis didn't know what to do because he couldn't get into his rhythm. He couldn't find Devin Haney's timing. Devin Haney had found his timing. By round 4, Devin Haney was in rhythm with Cambosis. If you notice, Cambosis uses a kind of herky-jerky rhythm like this, right? Cambosis is like this, right? And Devin Haney started doing the same thing. He started mirroring it, and he started mirroring Cambosis' movement, okay? And so he had found Cambosis' timing, and it was cruise control from there on in. And these are things that, you know, he popping the jab constantly, popping the jab, you know, throwing the right off the jab, you know, throwing the right falling in off the jab when he realized Cambosis was a sharp counterpuncher because Cambosis caught him sharply with a right, I think it was a right uppercut or something. And Cambosis, man, Cambosis wasn't playing around, but he just couldn't get his momentum. In the whole fight, he couldn't get his momentum. He couldn't get rhythm. Devin Haney had found his rhythm. Devin Haney had found his timing. Devin Haney was walking him down at times. Devin Haney was fighting him in the center of the ring at times. Devin Haney was fighting him off the ropes. You know, it was a master class in boxing. And Devin Haney was exactly the thing that is the weakness of Cambosis' style. If I have to tell Cambosis this, it's the way how you keep your stance. This is why you have to loop your shots. You have to arc your shots. And Devin Haney has straight shots, and the jab is the straightest shot you could ever have. So straight shots down the middle. And then Devin Haney would pivot off to the weak side of Cambosis, have Cambosis pivoting. And as Cambosis pivoting, Devin Haney would land that right hand over the top. He didn't catch him clean, you know, really clean with the right hand over the top, but that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to catch Cambosis with that because that's what Cambosis is vulnerable for. And Teofimo Lopez knocked him down with that shot. So Devin Haney was trying to get him with that. He caught him with some pretty clean hands, you know, clean shots. And Cambosis did in round 2 land a pretty good shot on Devin Haney. Devin Haney took it. And, you know, I think Cambosis got round 2. I think that's it. I don't think Cambosis got much other rounds. You know, I had it 11-1. It was a whitewash. It's just the Devin Haney show. And, you know, it is what it is. I mean, that's boxing. I told y'all it was a mismatch, and y'all didn't listen to me. And I wasn't trying to. I don't hate Cambosis. I like Cambosis. I'm gonna ride with Cambosis to the end. But I knew it was a mismatch. I knew that Devin Haney is like Dimitri Bivol. He's like Shakur Stevenson. He's a master class boxer. You know, Bivol don't stop people. When was the last time Bivol stopped someone? Right? Bivol's a guy that is a master boxer. He's not going to go in there and knock out Bidabiev. He's not going to go out there and knock out Joe Smith Jr., even though he could have. He was crashing him. You know, started to put accelerated pedal on things with Joe Smith Jr. in the end and finished in style. But Dimitri Bivol's not that kind of guy. Demetrius Andrew is not that kind of guy. You know, these guys know the sweet science, though. They know the sweet science. And so it doesn't matter who you put them in with, they're going to get that victory. They're going to get the W because of the sweet science that they know. And it's very, very complex. It's a lot more than I'm saying. When I say put the stick on them and move, stick and move, it's a lot more than that. But as you saw, you can stick and move going forwards. You can stick and move going backwards. You can stick and move circling a guy. So there's several different ways to stick and move. Stick and move is not just the classical stick and move, you know, like what Muhammad Ali used to do, or, you know, like, you know, Erislandy Lara when he's moving around the ring excessively, or even Guillermo Rigondeaux versus John Real Casimiro, where he's running around the ring, literally running around the ring. Stick and move ain't only that, you know, and you can stick a move and be walking a guy down, you know, but you're not staying in front of him. And Errol Spencer's a guy that does something like that. So it's it's a beautiful sweet science, bro. It's a beautiful sweet science. But I like who was it saying? Southpaw. Shout out to Southpaw. By the way, shout out to Boxing Jams. I went on that thing and they was just talking straight boxing. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. That's my favorite channel now. They really talk boxing. I like people who talk boxing. I don't have to agree with you, but you just have to be talking boxing. You know what I mean? And I love that. I love guys that talk boxing. Devin Haney didn't go too much to the body. He wasn't picking off Cambosis to the body, and one of the shots he could have done a lot more of, But you live to learn, and I guess he was playing it safe so he could get the decision. Is he should have jabbed? He should have stabbed him more to the pit. He should have stabbed him more to the body. He should have stabbed him more to the chest, not just to the head to blind him. But he should have thrown some chest jabs to the chest as well. Those are underrated punches, because you can stay from a safe distance and shoot them and hurt your opponent. And so those were some of the shots I thought he could have done more of to get the body work to slow down Cambosis some more. And once he slowed him some more, then he could really land some more crisp body shots on Cambosis. Because as you can see, Cambosis was slowing down, and there was a significant difference in quickness and speed as Devin was sharp, and he was really just sharp shooting Cambosis. And Cambosis, besides being bemused and stuff, he was like a step below. And it seemed as though he was getting sloppy with his punches. But it wasn't that he was sloppy. It was that Devin was just so sharp that, this wasn't even close. This fight wasn't nowhere near close. And you saw the differences in levels of boxing between Cambosis and Devin Haney. And, that's why I tried to explain this to people, going into these fights that, there's a difference in levels in the sport of boxing. And Devin Haney's going to show you that. I said that. But a lot of people didn't listen to what I was saying, and a lot of people on social media, etc., were picking Cambosis and saying this is a 50-50 fight and these guys have equal skills and abilities. Now you clearly see this is not the case. Okay? They are not equally skilled. They don't have equal abilities. Devin Haney is a level or two above Cambosis. And again, small things, all things. When it comes to these kind of guys. But once again, what I'm saying is I do believe that Cambosis, is not done winning titles. I think he's going to win another title, but it's going to be maybe in a year, 2 years time from now, he'll win another title at lightweight. I do think so, because he's good enough to win another title, I'm telling you. And this guy, he just has to stay with it. I've seen Sean Porter become 2-time world champion. I stayed with Sean Porter. I always rock with Sean Porter. I always loved Sean Porter. When Sean Porter had his YouTube channel, and he was showing his life and everything. Even after he lost to Kell Brook, I was always there supporting Sean Porter, and I'll always support Sean Porter because Sean Porter, to me, has admirable qualities as well. And so. I believe that when you rock with a fighter and you mess with a fighter, it doesn't matter if they lose. It doesn't matter what happens. You rock with him, and that's it. That's your fighter. I don't care. I have some of my favorite fighters, and they're small guys. Some of my favorite fighters in boxing have lost, and they lost big championships and big fights. But I love them. You tell me about. Alfredo Lopez. I love Alfredo Lopez. You know what I'm saying? Spectacular little fighter. Didn't win all his fights. Lost some of the big ones too. But I love him. He's exciting. I like how he fights. I like his personality. And that's just the way how it goes. And George Lopez, I like George Lopez. I don't care what nobody says. He's a straight up front kind of guy. He breaks it to you straight. He had to promote the fight. He did an excellent job getting 44,000 people into that stadium. We'll see what they did in terms of Australian Fox pay-per-view. Hopefully he did good, made some money, put Australia on the map again. You know what I'm saying? And I just hope, I don't know what'll happen in the future. I'm hoping Devin Haney would, give George that chance, that shot back at his title, because, it's just right and fair to do. Whether he does it back in Australia or not, I don't care. But ultimately, in the end, I hope they have more fights in Australia. That's the honest truth. I think Australia's a nice place, and I think there are some nice people in Australia. And Australia welcomed Devin Haney with open arms. Devin Haney, he did what he had to do. He didn't have everything. It wasn't a perfect situation, absolutely not. But the people of Australia welcomed him. He was embraced there. At the end of the fight, they definitely embraced him quite a lot, which I expected. It's an international fight, and Devin Haney's a likable guy, and I'm just so happy about that. Australia just did a great job, and they did a great job. The people of Australia, particularly, in enthusiastic they are for big fights. And I know the most amount of money, the mecca of boxing is Las Vegas. That's the place. But Devin Haney just doing what he do. I think, and I will never forget George Cambosis for beating Teofimo Lopez and showing us, the dedication, hard work does pay off. Yeah, George didn't back up what he did say, but he said a lot. But it obviously resulted in 44,000 people coming out to see this fight. You know what I mean? And George said some crazy shit like Devin Haney's being a rat and stuff, but that's part of the promotion. At the end of the day, when you come in, afterwards, and you're speaking to guys, you say, what, that was part of the promotion. I was trying to promote this fight. I was trying to make it a success, and it was all on me. I mean, I was the one to do it, so I did it. I did what I had to do, and I had to carry that mantle. Plus, I had to train, and I did what I had to do. You know what I mean? No hard feelings, nothing personal. And that's the way, George just had to write that off right there, and keep it moving. But I'm going to tell you something, man. I can't knock this dude. I can't knock George Cambosis. I never will. I think he'll be training in Vegas very soon. Come back to Las Vegas and be training. Work his ass off and keep going, because I think there's another world title on the horizon for him. Maybe he doesn't win the rematch, but he does better. And every little bit of improvement, maybe, I don't know. He's not going to be thinking like that. He's going to be thinking he's going to win. And he should. And he needs to be realistic, look at the footage, understand the problem in front of him. He's faced the problem. Now he needs to understand once you get on the inside, make it rough and rugged. Don't even study the referee. You got to be rough and rugged with this dude. You can't just be boxing him. And the other thing that Cambosis need to do is he also needs to get busy on the inside. Once you close the distance, you got one hand free, get busy on the inside. You got to work on the inside. It's the only way, because with Devin Haney, you got to take whatever you can take, and I thought like he kind of was confused by what he was seeing. He didn't understand what Devin Haney was doing. Devin Haney at the end of the fight told Mark, who was it? Was it Mark Kriegel, or was it the Fox News broadcaster? He was telling him what he did. Cambosis is known for throwing his left hook and his looping right hand. And when Cambosis set up to throw the left hook, he would throw his right hand. When Cambosis set up to throw his right hand, he would throw the left hook. And he was hooking off the jab. He was doing everything off the jab. So Cambosis was always too far away from him to really effectively do something. And then if he did throw the right hand, he would fall in with the right hand to make sure that Cambosis was smothered, so that he wouldn't be able to counter. Of course, Cambosis, he followed up with a nice right uppercut that caught Devin Haney as he was dipping in, coming in. So, all of these things you got to think about, because Cambosis is he's a smart fighter, man. He's a good fighter, but, it's one of those things where Devin Haney handicapped Cambosis, and it all started off with the jab. The jab was the key in this fight, and it's hard. See, people think a good jabber is a strong jabber, a guy that can jab, or a guy who's a regular jabber, a guy that throws jabs and moves. No, that those guys, a strong jabber and a regular jabber, can be timed. Okay, and even a really great jabber like Gennady Golovkin, who kind of untelegraphs his jabs and stuff, he can also be timed. You know, for really brilliant, clever fighters, those guys can be timed. So, um, the guys who really do a good job. By the way, Cambosis did a great job of throwing an untelegraphed jab off the front foot against Devin Haney, and you should look at the moments when he did have success against Devin Haney and surprised him, and build off of that. What I mean by that is build your skill set and develop your skill sets to be able to do not only that but other things. And he's still got a decent amount of Cambosis has a decent amount of stuff to still catch up on and learn. You know, EJ Boxing Live in the building. Yes, EJ. Yeah, well, it's all right, man. Hey, I get fights wrong too, so don't even worry about it. It's not like, but I could see. Yeah, I told you it was a mismatch. Yeah, it was a mismatch. Yep. That's what I saw. I saw the jab making a big difference, and that Haney was long. You know, he was a long fighter. Yeah. So I kind of saw it since they made the fight. I was like, yeah. Since they made the fight, I knew that was a fight Devin Haney was going to win. Yep. He's the real deal, man. I told you, Devin Haney's the real deal. You know, you don't come out of the Mayweather boxing gym, under Mike McCallum, under Yoel Judah, under Mickey Bay. You know, these are the guys that train him. You know, he even got some of Ben Davidson. He got all that knowledge, you know. Yeah. His father put it together, man. It's a bunch of trainers Devin Haney being under and schooled under. Some of them, you know, there's I don't know if you know the boxing guru from Ohio. They call him the Deontay Wilder hater. Well, he don't hate Deontay Wilder, but they call him that. Devin Haney, when he was about 7 or 8, came to Ohio. There was, you know, everybody was they had this little competition between the boxing guru. He actually coached teams and shit, and his team from Ohio was against Sean Porter's dad. Kenny Porter had brought a whole team across to face the Ohio team from, I believe it was from Kenny Porter. I think it was Vegas or wherever they were. And so this little guy, Devin Haney, he was only 7, 8 years old. He was a little guy on the ground. He came up and he was like, "Coach, would you train me?" Devin Haney was always hungry to get trained. You know, he's always asking different trainers with different approaches who he thought was, you know, very knowledgeable in the sport. He would ask all of them. He's like always up in there asking different people, could they train him? Would they train him? You know, and on top of that, we all know that he also was not just taught by Mayweather Sr. He's not just taught by Jeff Mayweather. He wasn't just taught by Roger Mayweather. But he himself got some training and little tips and stuff from Floyd Mayweather, right? Floyd Mayweather himself not only sparred him as he sparred Tank, but he also actually trained Devin Haney. Devin Haney actually came in. Floyd was given, you know, training sessions and stuff, and Floyd showed him how to spear jab and how the mental aspect of it, you know, the mental aspect of, you know, you shooting your head to right down the line of a guy who could throw a right hand right after his jab. So if you ever look at Floyd pull counter, it's the same move as his spear jab. Like, I'm breaking it down now. I'm really breaking it down right now. I'm talking particulars, right? And the way how Floyd's foot is set, right, how his feet are set apart from each other, is set up so that it either looks like he's going to spear jab you because he slips to the inside. He snaps back and slips to the inside, right? It's kind of like on a swivel. And then he may slip to the inside and then spear jab you, right? Come right up the center. So with Devin, he was explaining the psychological implication of that. Putting your head on the inside instead of going to the outside and being protected. You're literally pushing yourself on your opponent. You're imposing yourself on your opponent. It's almost a bluff. It's like chicken. You know, you're daring your opponent to pull the trigger. And so you're literally pushing your head into danger's way. But you're imposing yourself on them, and then you're punishing them with the spear jab right after that. You know, it's a psychological thing. Floyd was talking to Devin, and Devin was explaining it to, I can't remember who it was, you know, and that's just, you know, one of several different tricks that these guys do in boxing, where it's a mental thing. I'm actually imposing myself on you, and that's how. And you just listen to Floyd when he speaks with his opponents, you will see that he's mentally imposing himself on his opponent. And it's the same thing he does in the ring. And so I'm just talking about that high science to it, you know, and how you distribute your weight as you're doing that. Because, of course, you have to have quick reflexes, because what happens is the evasive maneuver, if the guy starts to throw his two, because the two straight down the path where you are at, right? You saw Marcus Maidana throw that jab right hand, and the right hand came and hit Floyd flush. But Floyd was on the high ground, and Maidana was on the low ground. See, there's a lot to boxing, okay? I can't even, like, if I start to really talk boxing here, this is the fun part of boxing, actually. This is the fun part. So if I'm an archer like this, right? I'm an archer like this, and you are I gotta go orthodox, right? Around. So I really have the advantage, strangely enough. But if you stay low enough and you're tricking me, right? And you coming this way, and then you do like this, right? You do like this. I could walk straight smack dab into your punch because you're staying low. I still have to shoot down at you. So while it works, it only works, the spare jab and also the pull counter that you're doing only works if you got the low ground. Okay? If you got the low, or your level, right? It only works that way. If you try to have the high ground and the other guy got the low ground, he could catch you with an overhand right. You know, so it's all these, I tell you, boxing is very, very technical when you start to talk small things, all things, and the technicalities of it, because, you know, it's a three-dimensional sport. So, like, I like to break this shit down. This is the fun of boxing for me, you know. Yeah, so he you know, he demonstrated. But he's got a lot of pedigree, man. When we talk about pedigree, we mean the knowledge. We're not talking pedigree. I don't talk pedigree just for that, just to say, oh, this guy trained him and that guy trained him, so that makes him pedigree. No, it's the knowledge that he's acquired, and that he can assimilate and he can demonstrate. That is the pedigree. And how we know this? We watch him fight, and then some people say, you know, at certain points in time, he looked like Sugar Ray Leonard. At certain points in time, they say he looked something like Floyd Mayweather. At certain points in time, he looked a little bit like Mike McCallum, how he's going to the body. It's because he's assimilated and he's learned. Remember, skills are taught, right? Skills are taught. So Devin Haney's not a guy that necessarily is, he's God gifted. He got quick twitch muscles, but it's not necessarily that he is talented, meaning things that he learned on his own and is able to produce in the ring, like a Roy Jones Jr. But he's more of a well-schooled fighter. It's a lot of things he's been taught, and he was eager to learn and pick up and incorporate into his boxing game. So that's why boxing's not as it's not as luck based as people think. Okay, so when we talk about like a fighter's pedigree, what we're really talking about is who he was taught under, what school of school of boxing he was taught under. When we talk about pedigree, and it's reflected in the amateurs, how you performed in the amateurs, that's your pedigree as well, as well as who you trained under, and how do you demonstrate what you're trained under, because you can be trained under many trainers but demonstrate none of the attributes of what they've trained you, because you didn't take in nothing really from what they trained you, right? But if you under a certain you learn a certain school of boxing, which is hit and not get hit in this case, and it's old school boxing that you learn from old school trainers, which is Mickey Bay or Sugar Floyd Mayweather Senior, or the Mayweathers, or whether it's the training from under Zab Super Judah's father. Remember, Zab is the protege of Pernell Whitaker. Pernell Whitaker used to mentor Zab, right? If you look at Dimitri Bivol, whose favorite fighter is Pernell Whitaker, you'll understand why Dimitri Bivol fights. He swims without getting wet. You know what I'm saying? So basically, when you come from that school where it's about swim and not get wet, where it's about hit and not get hit, and you are master at that, or you are mastering it, it's a totally different ball game. You look at Cambosis versus Teofimo Lopez. Cambosis is off that school of thought, but you saw he ended up being bloody at the end of the Teofimo Lopez fight. Now, he still had some defensive skills, because if he hadn't, Teofimo Lopez would have knocked him out. Yes, he was a tough guy. He was a tough guy and he had grit, but he was also a smart boxer. This is why that's why Cambosis didn't get knocked out this fight, because he understood, even though he was confused, he understood enough to understand he couldn't just sell out and try and go at Devin Haney, because Devin Haney basically countered him over his shoulder, over the weak side. Cambosis is always open for that overhand right on this side, and Teofimo Lopez demonstrated that. But Devin Haney's coming off the jab all the time. So I'm going to keep it simple. So he came off the jab, right? And then he pivoted out to the side of Cambosis to land that overhand right. Okay? He never really caught Cambosis well with that overhand right, which tells me Cambosis has worked on that, and he pivots with the guy and he dips to one side to keep. So you have to really arc the shot. If you try to show a straight shot, you're not going to catch him. So you could see that Cambosis actually worked on that game. That so that to make sure he wouldn't be hit with that too often. But like I said before, I think Cambosis is going to become world champion again in about maybe 2 years time. I think about 2024 he'll be a champion again. But it's going to be a small window for him to become champ, and maybe he may become unified champ even, while Shakur Stevenson pick up some of the other belts in there, and maybe he'll have a unification with Shakur Stevenson next. And maybe the experience he had with Mickey Bay, Lee Selby, now Devin Haney, maybe that will work in his favor when he has to face Shakur and make it a closer fight with Shakur. Shakur's a different kind of fighter to Devin Haney, in that Shakur fights. His very precise game is immaculate. He pins. He occupies much better than Devin does. So Shakur, for example. Okay, so I'm talking too much boxing right now. I need to chill out. But what I'm saying is Shakur is a fighter who perfects what he does really, really well. I think Devin can do more things than Shakur can, but what Shakur does, he does very, 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 very well on a very high level, So, I think that Shakur with Devin, Shakur versus Devin would be an interesting fight, but that's not going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon, even though I think Top Rank might want that to happen. I don't think it'll happen anytime soon. I think Shakur will face Devin maybe at super lightweight, maybe at super lightweight, maybe, or it may end up that they actually clash with each other at welterweight, And also Shakur versus Tank. I don't think Shakur versus Tank's going to happen as soon as people think. I think that might happen I don't know when it will happen because Shakur's he's still a weight class below. I don't know if he's in a rush to jump up to lightweight yet. I don't think he's going to jump up to lightweight until he's unified super featherweight. It makes sense for him, in my opinion, to unify super featherweight first. But you never know. That Barbarian might throw him in with Shakur. It depends on if he has a rematch with Cambosis. If Loma's available to fight, I guess they'll have to give Loma a tune-up fight first before he faces Devin. You know, but or if if they just want Shakur to jump up and face Devin, that'll be crazy. I don't think that's a sensible thing. But if Shakur wants to do it, then so be it. But I think that at this present time, I think Shakur should just try to unify all the belts and become undisputed at super featherweight. You know, we're getting a lot of undisputed champions now. Why not go for that too? Make history. You know, and if the opportunity presents itself to become lightweight undisputed champion, and if you want to go for it, you can go for it. I just think Devin's size is going to be a bit of a problem, as Shakur will not have that reach advantage. Devin is longer and he's much bigger. You know, so I don't know, but it's up to Shakur if he wants to do that. I mean, and then there's Tank in the mix. So we have Shakur, Tank, Ryan. We can't forget Ryan, and Devin, right? And right now the king of the division at lightweight is Devin. He's the king for sure. Nobody else, you know, he's the king for sure. But I mean, you got Cambosis in there, you got Jojo Diaz, you got Pitbull Cruz, you got Lomachenko, you have Fortuna, you got Robert Easter Jr. I think he's moved up. Robert Easter Jr. is now super lightweight, I think. Right? So you got a couple guys at lightweight that make it interesting. You know, and if Shakur jumps in there, that would make it even more interesting. So, I mean, it's up to them what they want to do. So you got Cambosis in the mix. You know, you got a couple top lightweights in the lightweight division. So we will see what happens with that. But as of now, you know, it's not. I don't think it's you know, it's a bad thing to say that Cambosis, you know, former unified lightweight world champion, the WBA, WBO, IBF world champion, is not in the mix there. He's still in the mix, and I think because of his prestige, he's going to have better fights, and you know, whether he has to go overseas or come back to Australia and bring another big fight to Australia, the one thing that's settled, everybody realize, in Australia, they don't rob you. Okay? That Jeff Horn fight, Jeff Horn won that fight. In Australia, they don't rob you. So let's stop with that bullshit. Okay? Devin Haney got a fair decision in Australia. Jeff Horn did beat Manny Pacquiao. I forgot the guy's name that beat Shane Mosley. You know, so I love that not Jeff Horn. I love that George Cambosis, you know, how he was so respectful and he gave Devin Haney his just due. I don't think George should talk crazy now. I think George should, as a true champion, go back to the gym, work on his craft. You know, shout out to George Cambosis' father as well. And Ferocious Promotions. You know, I really have a lot of respect for George in taking this fight and giving Devin Haney the chance. And you know, because I'm gonna say this. Let's fast track into the future for just a second. Let's assume Devin Haney becomes this all-time great, right? And he's beating everybody that was put in front of him. George Cambosis' name will be etched in history because George Cambosis took on Devin Haney first. He's the guy that gave Devin Haney the shot. Just like how Trenaro Hernandez gave Floyd his shot, George Cambosis would have given Devin Haney his shot. He was the honorable guy. Where Teofimo Lopez ducked him. Where Lomachenko didn't want to face him, so he got this stupid franchise belt. Alright? Yeah, yes. Lomachenko wanted to unify. Gotcha. But it was no rush. If Devin Haney was easy work, you should have been able to take care of your mandatory, defend your WBC title, and step up to the plate with Teofimo Lopez and beat him. Just saying. Anyway, Lomachenko gonna get his shot. He gonna get his shot. Just like Daniel Roman got his shot at my boy Stephen Fulton. I can't even speak enough about how good Stephen Fulton was in the fight with Manuel Roman. Well, just outboxed him. Easy. And Devin Haney's the goods, as we already should have known. But it's all good. I mean, Stephen Fulton, Devin Haney, Jermell Charlo, and Dimitri Bivol proved to people. I mean, how many times do I have to say it? Boxing off the back foot is not running. It's not running. It's not. Okay? And Haney didn't do that much running. He was right in the center of the ring in front of Cambosis for most of the night. Boxed him most of the night. Didn't run nowhere. Okay? Used the jab. And it's a sweet science to that. You know what I mean? There's a science to all of this stuff. And when you are trained with certain skills, again, skills are taught. Skills are taught. Let me say that again. Skills are taught. So it's something you have to learn. It's not something you come with. It's not something you're inherently born with. Skills are taught. Means you got to be humble enough to accept the teaching and be able to implement it. Skills are taught. So, you know, Cambosis has a certain measure of skill. He's going to have to catch up on it. It's all about knowledge. It's all about teachings. Shout out to Coach Eric Bradley, the fight doctor, master boxing, for relaying skills and techniques and the mentality and all the other things that come along with being a top world-class pro boxer as well as top world-class amateur. Check out Master Boxing. That's one of the most comprehensive places for you to learn boxing. There are other online places. Coach Anthony's also great at educating people on boxing and letting fans understand what's going on. But not only that, but also getting fans involved in boxing. You yourself, you know, picking up the gloves and starting to box yourself. And little tidbits and stuff. You know, of course you need to have a coach or trainer. But you picking up the gloves and boxing. Right? And boxing's a very good sport. It's a very healthy sport. It helps you to be healthy mentally and physically. And also, it helps you be more focused, so you'll be more focused in your workplace, your job, whatever. So throw some hands, people. Throw some hands. Whether it's on a punching bag or sparring or whatever. Throw some hands and get to know the beautiful sport that's called boxing, man. Get to know it. You know, boxing is not just for poor people, minorities, middle class, rich people, celebrities, whoever you may be. It's a very good form of exercise, training, keep you in good shape, in condition. Nothing quite like it when it comes to staying in shape and being well conditioned. There are other forms of martial arts, but some of them you don't necessarily have to be in shape to do them. But boxing is a whole entire body workout. Um, so that's what makes it beautiful. I remember Sugar Ray Leonard back in the '80s, and was after he retired from boxing. He would do these gyms, these workouts with boxing, these aerobic workouts. It's great, great stuff, great stuff. I never forgot him when he was doing that. He stopped after a while, but it was great stuff. And then it was Jimmy Blanks or Billy Blanks, who used to do Taibo. Remember Taibo? You know. So you know, the sweet science. I think that George Cambosis, like I said before, is a hell of a fighter. He's a true fighter at heart, a true warrior at heart. Um, to his core, he's a genuine guy. Um, and I think that I can't wait to see uh, him in action again. Whether it's against Devin Haney, whether it's against whoever, because he did a hell of a job promoting the fight. He did a hell of a job getting Australian boxing on the map by beating Teofimo Lopez. And we must not forget these kinds of fighters who are men of their word, ultimately in the end. Just the man that gave Devin Haney the shot at Undisputed, himself going for Undisputed. It could have been anybody else, but it wasn't meant to be, and he was the guy. And what I like about him is he was honorable, even in defeat. And if you can do that, see, Cambosis, let me tell you something, and this means a lot to me because in defeat, Cambosis did what true champions do. He acknowledged that he came up short that day, and he's willing to give Devin Haney praise and his just respect and due. I'm not going to try and bang on his parade. He's not going to be a sore loser. That is what I'm talking about. That's the difference between Cambosis and Pacquiao when he lost the fight of the century to Mayweather and was saying the dumbest things ever. Okay? It's the difference between Rolly Romero talking the talk and then afterwards he got knocked out, not staying in the ring or insisting on staying in the ring, but let out. It don't look good on boxing when that happens. I know he was basically punch drunk, but the point is, after that, he comes in the post fight and says the dumbest shit ever, Rolly Romero. Now Cambosa still said some pretty silly things, like he thought the fight was close, but I get it. When you're in a fight and you're getting some of your licks in, or you look like you're close to it, you may say that. So from his perspective, maybe he's still trying. He's constantly trying to get there, and he was just like a smidge step behind Devin Haney, seems every single time. Though that's by design, that's the way how it is. So he may think of it as closer than it really was. But when he goes back and he watches the tape, he's going to see how tremendously one-sided that fight really was, and Devin Haney was controlling all the action. And it's up to him if he wants to get a second go at it. I mean, why not? You can't win if you don't try. But it's up to him. Ultimately, in the end, though, he acted like a true champion. He went into Devin Haney's locker with his dad, and he thanked his dad. He thanked Devin Haney. He gave them the justice that they deserved. This is what he wanted. And let me say something. I'm telling you, man. I know what I'm saying is true. This guy gonna become world champion again. If he stays on course like he's doing and he works hard, he's gonna become world champion again. Because Cambosis is that dude. He mightn't be able to. He may or may not. It depends on how much he learns between now and the next time he has an opportunity to become world champion again, and he will. I think that he has all the tools to make a fight difficult for a fighter who does not have the kind of cachet that Devin Haney has. And guess what? There are only 3 other fighters that I can think of in the lightweight division that have the kind of cachet that Devin Haney has. Even though I gotta say, Jojo Diaz is another guy that you gotta watch out for, right? But suffice it to say, Cambosis has a shot at beating Lomachenko. Anybody else you could name, Luke Campbell, any of the other lightweights. He gonna have a hard time against Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney. Could be an interesting fight with Tank, but I don't think he beats Tank either. But other than those guys, and if Shakur Stevenson steps up into lightweight, I think he's got a good clear chance of beating the other guys, because those other guys are not long like he is. I think he would have the reach advantage on, or the height advantage on some of them, and he's blisteringly fast. He's blisteringly fast. So, I fancy his chances against Lomachenko. I fancy his chances against almost any other fighter in the lightweight division. Other than Ryan, Shakur, Tank, and Haney. I fancy his chances. But I think he's going to go back to the drawing board and he's going to get better. So, I'm sure he would want to be challenged. He would want to challenge Devin again, because that's just the heart of a champion. They always want a second shot at it. So that's something that we may look at and see if that's going to be in the future with Devin, or if it's going to be like a Lomachenko fight, or some other top-ranked fighter fight, or a Tank fight. It might be Tank that comes next. Tank might take on Ryan, and Dev might take on Lomachenko, and then probably Tank will take on Dev. It looks like they may take on each other at lightweight. So that would resolve everything. You wouldn't have no WBA super champion and WBA regular. It'd just be WBA whatever. And they could get rid of the regular and just make super champion regular. So they can get rid of the super champion and the regular belts. So it would kind of make sense to be able to get rid of all those secondary titles and just have one guy with one title, with one everything. And then, but I don't know if everything will happen at lightweight. We'll have to wait and see. That's a lot of fights for Devin to fight. Big fights for Devin to fight at lightweight. I don't know how many more he could do at lightweight. He may have to move up. So he may take on Lomachenko, for example. Maybe a rematch with Cambosis, and then he may move up. But we'll see. He's now the target. He's now probably an appetizing target, depending on how his pay goes up and how he's paid for fight now. So we'll have to wait and see. Definitely, his money's going to go up with all that hardware. You got to get paid for that. The question is, can it be promoted in a manner where you can get some serious dollars with some serious big fights? So, it's all about the money at the end of the day. Money talks, bullshit walks. So we'll see how that goes ultimately in the end. But man is undisputed, man. And again, Devin Haney and Lomachenko didn't step up to the plate. They didn't try to, Lomachenko had the opportunity to defend his title when Devin Haney wasn't as good as he is now. And Teofimo Lopez had that opportunity, and he bypassed it for Cambosis, and Cambosis beat him. So that's on Tio. You could have taken the Devin Haney fight. You could have been, but you were instead jabbing at him how he's a paper champion and all these kinds of stupid things. And Devin came through and just did what he did. Devin came through and now he's the undisputed champion. And Teofimo Lopez say what he wants. Devin Haney is the undisputed champion. He the real champion. Teofimo Lopez never will be considered in history undisputed. He'll be considered unified. It could have been undisputed, Teo, if you're taking the fight with Devin Haney. And now Devin Haney is only better than he was before. But George Cambosis stepped up to the plate. Devin Haney remembers that. I remember it. And for history will remember it. I would argue that George Cambosis faced the best lightweight in the lightweight division. I would argue that with anybody. Undisputedly the best lightweight in the lightweight division. So if Cambosis could go 12 rounds with the best lightweight in the lightweight division in Australia, then you have to rank him pretty highly. He's not no bum. You know what I mean? You have to rank him highly because that was the best lightweight in the lightweight division. Devin Haney's been known about. His name's been talked about for a very long time. Okay? And Tank is also another one. But I think that Devin proved that he is. He proved that he is the best lightweight in the lightweight division right now. He proved it because he got the hardware to show it. And he's the first. He's made history in several different ways. He's the first undisputed 4-belt lightweight champion. And he's the youngest undisputed champion in boxing today. And he's joined the likes of Carissa Shields. He's joined the likes of the welterweight undisputed champion right now. I forgot what her name is. And he's joined the likes of Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez, Bernard Hopkins, Josh Taylor, Terrence Crawford, Jamel Charlo, So he's joined the likes of some great people, man. And kudos to him on that. I'm what you need. I'm going to catch you guys later. But George Cambosis is my dude. I don't care what y'all say. That's a fighter I like. And I'm going to keep on following him. I'm going to catch you guys later. And I think he's going to become world champion again. It may be for a season, but he'll become world champion. He'll be 2-time world champion. I'm going to speak it. Because I said that Sean Porter will become world champion again, and he became WBC world champion a couple of years after I'd said that. And I believe Cambosis is going to become a world champion again. He's that kind of caliber. He's improving every fight. So I expect him to become world champion. And for those of y'all say he should have sell out and try and go in there, he should have made it a little bit more rough and rugged, yeah, if he was strong enough. But it's not easy to just sell out and go in there. You get knocked out. Devin Haney would have knocked him out. Now that make no sense. So I think that he fought as well as he could fight, given that he had to also keep his defense tight. So shout out to George Cambosis for giving us what is history. Even though he may not have been the one to become undisputed, he damn near made a lot of people believe that he could, and therefore and faced what arguably is the best lightweight in the lightweight division anyway, and took him on. He took on the challenge, and he came out of it with some battle scars, but basically he can fight another day. He could fight next week. He could fight next month if he wanted to. True warrior. I give him nothing but props. Of course, Devin Haney, we give him a lot of love and a lot of props for his success. And he represented himself like a true professional, a true champion. I'm sure he's going to be welcomed with open arms in Australia anytime he comes down there. Representative of the minorities, the colored peoples in Australia as well. Beautiful stuff. As well as, an ambassador for the undisputed title that he has. He really represents it and wears it well. So, kudos to Devin Haney on that. George Cambosis also has been a true champion. He said a little bit of crazy stuff, but we take that as promotion. But George Cambosis is an honorable guy, true and true. I like him a lot. Represented his championship like a true champion. I have nothing bad to say about George Cambosis. And I wish Cambosis nothing but the best. I will be following him and his fights. And he has not. Cambosis is not a dude that hid in Australia. You know, it was just like some fighters in Australia. Just most of their fights in Australia. No, this dude left and traveled the world like Tyson Fury, the Gypsy King, and fought in people's backyards to earn the respect that he deserves. This man deserves the respect that he deserves. And so anybody saying any shit about Cambosis, I will mute you, and I will remove you from my channel. Okay, this man is not a bum. Okay, in no way, shape, or form. No bum beats Teofimo Lopez. I'm gonna say that straight up. In his prime, okay, at the top of his game, coming off of the win of Vasily Lomachenko, ain't no bum do that. Okay, Cambosis is no bum. He's no punk. He is a very good boxer. Obviously, he has a great IQ, and clearly we saw that in the fight. Even though he's a little bit bemused, he had, still got Devin Haney with certain shots that shows that he has a high IQ in boxing. It's just that Devin Haney's a level above him, and so Devin Haney beat him. But all Cambosis has to do is keep on working on his knowledge of the sport and improving himself. I saw some improvements in his game, by the way, which showed me that fighters, once you're learning and you're teachable, you're going to go far. So I expect Cambosis to as I said before, become world champion again. I do expect him to do so. I'm gonna watch to see. I know he's gonna show up when it's necessary. I think he's gonna fight everybody in the division. And knowing Cambosis, he's gonna test his skills against every single fighter, every single top fighter in the lightweight division. He's not going to duck and dodge nobody, and he's shown that once given the opportunity, he will showcase. And he's going to be a name in boxing. He may go down in the Boxing Hall of Fame. We will see. I don't know. But as of now, he has made a tremendous mark in boxing. He caused a big upset against Teofimo Lopez. He was the unified world champion, and I'm looking forward to him doing bigger and better things. I wish nothing but the best for him and his team. That's how I feel about it. So I want the fans to know that these both fighters, I like both of them, and I'm never gonna try to tarnish or defame these two champions in what they have done. They've done incredible things, and I can only compliment them on the incredible things they've done. Cambosis is an overachiever, and just like Manny Pacquiao, he's going to overachieve again. He's going to come back, and I'm telling y'all, look out for him. I think he's going to become a 2-time world champion, maybe a 3-time world champion, depending on if the belts are separated. And I think when all is said and done, he's going to be notably recognized in history. Australia has always produced fantastic boxers in boxing, going all the way back to Bob Fitzsimmons, great light heavyweight champion, great heavyweight champion, great middleweight champion. So you have to look out. The great Tommy Burns. There's been many great Australian world champions, and Cambosis' name needs to be recorded in history as one of them. I'm gonna catch you guys later on What You Need. Peace.